What is up, watch friends? Welcome to another episode of Talking Timepieces with Tony. I'm Tony, and today we are going to be talking about this, the Tudor Royale 41 millimeter. Is it any good? Well, I don't know. You have to stick around and wait and see. So let's roll the intro and we'll talk about it.
Talking timepieces with Tony. Talking timepieces with Tony.
All right. So first and foremost, why did I buy this watch? Generally not the typical type watch that I buy, but then again, I'm pretty unpredictable when it comes down to it. I even think some of the people at Bindi were shocked that I bought this because that day on my radar was a Cartier Americaine, another Zenith, Defy Skyline, and then I just gravitated towards this. And this has been on my radar for quite some time. This is not just something I just noticed and went, oh my God, I have to have it. I'd been thinking about this for a while. Um, you know, a lot of it is aesthetics, and that's a lot of reasons why I buy a watch too, because of the dial or whatever. Basically aesthetically, how does it look and how does it feel? What's the quality? What's up with this watch? Who who is this watch designed for? You know what I mean? So let's first talk about what is it related to. So it's closest sibling would be the Rolex Oyster-Quartz, right? And so this is kind of going back to that older vintage Oyster-Quartz, except this is obviously a modern watch and it's got an automatic movement. It's a 41 millimeter case, and it wears bigger just because there's so much dial presence on it. The dial, there's just so much dial. There's very little text on the dial other than the day at the 12 o'clock, well, between the 11 and 12 or whatever. And then you've got just Tudor, the shield. You've got no text, on the bottom part of the dial. You have hand-applied numerals, Roman numerals. Also gives you that sort of, obviously like a Rolex day date aesthetic as well. And then you've got polished and brushed features on this watch. So the sides of the case, sorry, my back is just being you have brushed, very similar to Oyster case, Rolex Oyster. It's not a slab straight up and down. You've got it, obviously, an integrated bracelet. This bracelet actually is super comfortable. Really surprised at how comfortable this watch is. And there's a lot of weight to this watch as well. It's got a lot of heft to it. So you're getting something that feels definitely hefty, I guess. You've got hands that are similar to that of like Patek Philippe Royal Oak pencil style hands, I believe what you would call it. You've got a brushed and polished bezel, very similar to the turnograph bezels that you would find on the earlier Rolex Datejusts. You've got a screw down crown with 100 meters water resistance. You've got a T603 movement in this watch. So it's not COSC certified and it's not Metis tested or whatever. And which is based off of a Solita movement. Don't know the model number of the Solita movement it's based off of, but it would have been modified with the day at the top of the bezel there. If you're into long power reserves, this watch is not for you. It's about a 38-hour power reserve. You've got brushed and polished within the bracelet here. I believe it's 24 millimeter that tapers down to about freaking 18 probably. Didn't get too much into the specs with that. What would have been cool is if they would have polished in between the links here. It would have given it that much more bling like you would find on an AP. It's not beveled either. There's no beveling on the case here and polishing. All right. Is that a way of cost cutting? I don't think so. The price point of this watch is about $2,500. Can't really go wrong. Also has a similar aesthetic to, you know, an AP, a Vacheron Constantin 222. You know, it's all in that sort of Genta sort of realm of aesthetics. But the closest relation to it, obviously, is the Oyster Quartz. It's got a beautiful sunray blue dial, which, yeah, it's nice. I mean, it is nice. I don't know if I said hand applied numerals. There is no quick adjust. I mean, you just have to fit this and hope it works. Let me put it on the wrist. Fold over, push, you know, typical type bracelet for this type of thing, you know. It looks good, it wears good. But I'm still trying to bond with it, and I'm trying to figure this watch out. I like it. I don't love it. And when I first got it, I wore it every day for about a week just to try to bond with it. And then I find myself taking it off and putting a Rolex on, you know. I'm really trying, you know. It is a beautiful watch, but I don't know. So I say it's got 100 meters water resistance, screw down crown, but it is extremely comfortable and it wears well. You know, that's a good thing about this watch. So I think, and of course, having the day date is kind of cool. You know, I don't have any day date watches. I mean, I have calendar watches with the day and the date, but I don't have a day date in this style. I think this watch is for anybody who, I don't want to, okay, so anyone who loves the aesthetic of the Rolex Oyster-Quartz, but doesn't want to spend the money on an Oyster-Quartz. And plus with Oyster-Quartz, you know, those watches are old now, you know, and quartz watches, you know, their movements aren't meant to last forever in a quartz watch. And it's going to get harder and harder to get those movements repaired if something happens to them. I also heard that, and I don't know who told me this, or that Rolex is not going to be servicing those movements any longer. I don't know if that's already started or if it's something in the future. But it's for someone who likes that sort of, you know, like the aesthetic. Like for instance, if you take the Royal Oak, you know, you're looking at a watch that most people can't afford or whatever. You know, again, it doesn't have the octagonal type K bezel, but you know, still. And I think it's for someone who likes that sort of classy, sort of, I want to say understated, but it is kind of a little bit flashy, you know. There's not too much else to say about this watch. I mean, it's a nice watch, but again, I'm not sure if it's not an everyday watch for me. You know, I just tend to gravitate towards my Cartier and my Rolex for the most part. You know, my Zenith. You know, of course, I wear Zenith more than anything, but it does fit well. I have a 6.5-inch wrist. It looks big, but it's still only 41. You know, which again, that's due to the dial presence, the way that the dial and the bezel are. You know what I mean? That gives it that larger presence. So I don't know if it's the larger presence that makes it, you know, like really big watches, but at the same time, it's a nice watch. It keeps really good time. It is very reliable. And again, it just the power reserve kind of sucks, but what it is. Quick set as well. So I'm not going to do it because I just don't want to reset the date. But you pull the crown out, and you know how you set the date. Quick date set, winding the crown forward. Well, if you go reverse, that's what sets the date. The day. Forward is the date. Reverse is the day. But it's a nice watch. Don't get me wrong. It is a nice watch. It's definitely got sort of a little bit of a vintage flair to it. So that being said, I think if you're looking to have a luxury watch without breaking the bank, again, $2,500. And they have different color variations of this as well. So some of them are really nice. I almost bought a two-tone with diamonds on the dial. You know, that's where I was going at one point, but you know, I'm glad I didn't. But either way, I hope you enjoy the review, and thank you guys for watching, liking, and subscribing, and we'll see you on the next one.